everybody, my name is Jackie and I have completed the Whole30. So my Whole30 experience actually started a few months ago. The Whole30 that I just finished was my third Whole30. However, in October, we had a big celebration. My grandmother turned 98 and my aunt decided to turn it into a big to-do. There was a hall rented, family came in from out of town, all of the cousins that I grew up with were there, and it's on my mom's side, which is a big family. And so growing up, we would have all these outings with our cousins and we would go crazy and we'd stay up all night. And like, if we did New Year's Eve together, we'd grab pots and pans from under the cabinet and go out in the street and start banging on them and screaming Happy New Year. So I have these like memories being with my cousins of like crazy for the age we're at, is how I'll put it. When we were 8, it meant banging pots and pans outside. Now that we're adults, it means overindulgence, not a lot of sleep, alcohol consumed, lots of food, lots of sweets, not a lot of sleep. It just, a lot of fun, totally worth it, but definitely crazy. Anyway, so we had this big weekend. I wake up on Monday morning afterwards and I am sitting on the couch and I turn to my boyfriend and I say, I think I need to do a Whole30. I'd only done one before that, but I felt so great after it. And so I turned to him and I said, I need to do a Whole30. And he says, when? And I say, now. I think I need to start now. So I did. I went in the kitchen and I looked at what we had, and we had exactly what I needed to make a breakfast. So I did. I made a Whole30 breakfast. And I said, all right, we'll see if this sticks. And then I made a Whole30 lunch, and then I made a Whole30 dinner, and then I woke up the next day with a headache. And I said, all right, I'm committed or I'm not. And I stayed and I stuck and I looked at the calendar, and my plan, the first time I did a Whole30, the 30 days ended the day before I went away for a 10-week camp where I am not in control of my food and everything's made for us. And I love it, and it's a great experience, and I'm very excited that I have the opportunity to do this every year, but it does not lead itself to a Whole30 lifestyle by any means. That said, I did not do the reintroduction phases like I would have if I had been able to plan better and if I knew what I was getting myself into that early on in the game. So I said, okay, I'm doing Whole30. I got through day 1, day 2, day 3. I looked at the calendar thinking, I want to do the reintroduction phase. I really want to do that this time. I really want to figure out what it is that's going on with my body. And I got through like a couple of days, looked at the calendar and realized the 30 days were over the week before holiday festivities were about to begin. The week before Thanksgiving, we do a friend's Thanksgiving. And if I did the reintroduction phase, one of my friend's Thanksgiving things would be falling on one of my reintroduction days. And so I tabled it in theory, but there was still a big part of me that thought, I'm going to do it anyway. The thing about Whole30 though is that it's not about not allowing yourself experiences. It's about making sure that you make the time and the effort for those things that matter. And so in that, during my second Whole30, it was a big part of my journey to decide whether or not to do the full reintroduction phase or whether to go into the holidays and let myself off the hook and see what happened. And so what I decided to do was I decided to do the Whole30, get through my 30 days, and then let it go. Let myself do the reset, but not worry about the reintroduction phase in full and allow myself the holidays because I didn't want to not indulge on a holiday that only actually comes once a year. In doing that, I decided that I wanted to do another Whole30 after the holidays. And I looked into things, and there's a January Whole30 every year. And it makes sense that there would be, but I hadn't known about Whole30 last year in January, so I had no idea what it was. So, long story short, this time through my third Whole30, I started January 2nd with everybody, even though my birthday was January 28th. I stuck it through the 30 days. I did the 10-day reintroduction phase that was outlined in the book, And I feel so good. I feel so good about myself, about my journey, about committing to a goal and sticking through it, about my results, about what I found. I feel great about everything. Now I'm about a week out of the program, and I have let things back in, and I have restructured things around my life to make sure that I'm supported if I want to stay with a lot of the things that I learned in Whole30, which I'll talk about later. But for the most part, I just want to say that this went exactly how I wanted it to, and above and beyond what I could have thought. And I'm just very excited about this experience that I just had. So that is my Whole30 experience in a nutshell. Thanks to Whole30, there are quite a few things that I learned, and I took some notes. One is that I can cook. I can actually make food. I can follow recipes. I can remember things and make stuff. I can actually just add stuff to things that I think will taste good, and it usually does. That was a big one for me. Another thing that I learned is I like smoked salmon. I learned that there are foods out there that are not in my actual normal everyday growing up since I was a kid palate, or have gone to college and tried palate or whatever, that I've never had. And smoked salmon was one of them. Playjoy had me get it once for a salad. Actually, they wanted me to get something else smoked and they didn't have it, so I got salmon instead. And I loved it. It was great. So I've always been interested in other foods, but there are still things out there that I just never thought to try. Looked at it and said no, and then tried it and loved it. So that is another one. I really enjoy Instacart, and I really love Platejoy. I really like when I'm able giving up the stuff I don't like grocery shopping and figuring out what to do next for a meal, and giving up that control to somebody and just agreeing to whatever comes. And like, when I get that extra hour back from Instacart, or 2 hours, however long it takes to grocery shop, I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes it takes a really long time to go through a grocery store for 4 items, and I always come out with too much. And instead, allowing myself to spend a little more, to put out my list and have somebody else go grocery shopping for me, I found that more often than not, I actually do things like yoga while they're shopping, which I would not do, but I feel like I gained time. I don't know. I loved it. I enjoyed it, and I'm going to do it again as much as I can, because I just think it's a great service, and I really enjoy who I am when I have that added level of happiness about my day. Having gained that hour or two back of my life, I really like that. And so yeah, I learned that I loved those 2 things. I thought I would, and I did. I really like vlogging. I really like coming home and talking at a camera and knowing people are listening and being able to say hi to people about stuff and processing what I'm going through. And I enjoy the whole process of it. I enjoy putting myself out there. I enjoy connecting with people. And I actually, in the last week of Whole30, during that cleanse, I think it was, I don't think I did it during the reintroduction phases, but anyway, there was a day where I actually went in to YouTube and I commented on videos from the people who had made the videos that I watched. And it felt so good to have a connection that way. I commented on their videos just to say thanks. I really enjoyed your videos and you got me through it, and I created my own vlog because of it. And then they got back to me, and they one of them watched my vlog and was like, oh my gosh, this is great, and congratulations, and you're doing so well. And it was just really great to be able to reach out and connect that way. And so I really hope I keep this going because I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Now, as far as food sensitivities go, I found I'm not allergic to anything really. I never had a big flare-up where I couldn't handle it. However, during the reintroduction phase, I did find that things did affect me differently than I was expecting. The first is legumes. I noticed that they weren't as intense as I felt they would be, but I also noticed I could definitely feel, I guess, bloating more in my gut, and I felt that way for the next day and a half. So I would definitely say legumes went down great. Everything was fine with them. I had no problems with them. But in the amount that I ate, which I did have legumes breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I made sure to eat something with every meal. And so now that I'm not doing the phase, a meal here and there, it's not a big deal. But in excess, I could definitely feel it for the next day and a half. So there was that. Non-glutens was the next one I did, and non-gluten grains made me want to snack. Even if it was just like grabbing an apple. It didn't matter what it was, but it made me feel snacky. The types might have had something to do with that. Like there was definitely a moment where I ate the corn chips that were considered a part of that reintroduction in the way that they lay it out. But they made me feel snacky. I felt more, with non-gluten grains, it felt like more of a mental and emotional reaction than it did a physical one, which is great to know. Now that I know that, I've had non-gluten grains since finishing the reintroduction phase, and it doesn't affect me as much, but I can tell that the feeling is there, which is really interesting to me. I was not expecting that. The next one was dairy. Same thing. I could feel the joints, the muscles around the joints in my knee. I feel that there was like an inflamed thing there. I had an injury about a year ago in my left knee. My knee was not injured, but the muscle around it was, and it was like, I think it was torn or something. They couldn't really figure out what was up, but I was out of commission for days. And it was definitely a muscle thing. And so, it might have even been weeks. I don't know. It was bad. I had no strength. Anyway, totally different subject. However, I feel things in my knee now differently. And in my left knee, like when I'm walking, that's when the second round, I did reintroduce dairy, and that's where I felt it. I felt it in that joint, in that muscle. And so, again, the same thing happened. So I did a little research, and it looks like I think it's called casein, is another ingredient found in cheese that often affects the joints. Whereas with lactose, not a big deal. Totally fine with lactose, but I think it's the casein that does it for me. As long as I eat it sparingly, it doesn't seem to be a big deal, but when I do the breakfast, lunch, and dinner thing, and specifically cheese, I do feel that, which is interesting. Let me know if that's you, because it's apparently not something that affects a lot of people, but the people it does affect, it's a thing. And then the last one was gluten. What I noticed about gluten for me was that I felt full. This was my most interesting one, because I didn't realize that in life I would go until I felt full, and in Whole30 I go until I'm not hungry, and I didn't realize they were two different things, but they are. Like with my gluten day, I actually could feel fullness. Like I was like, I need to stop because I feel like I'm full, like full up to here. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you've eaten so much that your body's actually full of food. Whereas when I'm on a Whole30 day, I can eat, a whole meal and then some, and I don't feel full. I feel like I'm not hungry anymore. And so discovering that distinction for me was really important. Because the gluten itself, I don't think that it had a big effect physically on me other than that feeling. But to me, that feeling was enough. That feeling was like, okay, this is what it used to be like. It used to be like I would eat until I was full. And now I just stop when I'm not hungry. And so that switch, I think it's something that from a young age, I just attached to it, so you eat until you're full. And you don't have to. And so, I don't know, that was a big light bulb moment for me. So yeah, anyway, that's what I learned. Now for the results. As far as weight goes, at my day 31, I had lost 10 pounds exactly, which I did talk a little bit about in my day 31 video. Then after the reintroduction phase, I lost like another pound, and I'm now a week out of having completed the reintroduction phase, and I'm still within a couple pounds of my day 31 weight. So, and I've been reincorporating a lot of things that are not Whole30, like for example, pizza and stuff like that. So definitely doing pretty well on the maintaining side of things. I know a lot of people say that a few days after, there's like 4 pounds that they'll gain right back. And I'm kind of fluctuating within 2 or 3 pounds of that day 31 weight on either side of it. So definitely depending on like whether you're drinking or eating more like salt in your diet or alcohol or sleeping better and all of that kind of stuff. But for me so far, it's been a pretty good solid existence right around where I ended, or close enough to it that I am fine. I also don't feel attached to having to know day to day where my weight is at, which is also probably a big part of the fact that we don't get on a scale for 30 days. The fact that you're just not able to track it, I think that has sort of reprogrammed me into feeling more about my energy and sleep and mood, and all of that is way more important to me than right now a number on a scale, which I feel like it should be that way. And depending on where you're at in your journey, that may or may not be the case. Depending on where I am in my journey, that may or may not be the case. But right now, that's where I'm at, and it feels really good. Let's see, what else? Oh, my string test. So I did, I used string because I don't actually have a measuring tape around my hips, my waist, my arm, and my thigh, my right arm and my left thigh. And as far as the string test goes, I definitely lost in every place. I would say my waist went down a bit, my hips went down a bit, but my thigh and my arm went down a lot. And so that was pretty interesting to me. I've also gone down a couple sizes, I think, in jeans. I definitely went down to a lower size that was very tight on me during the Whole30, and then from when I'd started, and then I went down like a size from that, but I haven't actually bought new jeans, so the ones that I'm currently wearing are kind of falling off here and there. So I should probably go shopping at some point, but right now I actually don't care about it, which I think is another part of the program, is that as exciting as it is that everything fits and that I feel really good, it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't really matter to me as much, which is cool. The other things that I found as far as like non-scale victories go, my energy shot up. My drive, I'm excited to do things, projects and activities. My motivation is there without me having to be like, why do I care? Why do I want to? So my energy is up, my drive is up, my excitement is up. I'm always a very excited person. Like, I'm a very optimistic, and like I have 2 younger brothers who would both say that especially around the holidays I go a little crazy and get a little overexcited. But that excitement level isn't always there. And so right now it feels like it's there kind of on a day-to-day basis, which is really nice. And I missed it, and I didn't realize it was gone until I had it back. The other thing is my emotions are a lot more accessible. I don't feel like I mean that from a dramatic sense. A lot of times, like mood swings and whatnot, I can get a little crazy as far as dramatic things go. Like I can exist in a spectrum of like extremes. But right now I just feel like I'm aware of the emotions as they happen, and I feel like they're accessible. I feel like I can understand them better. I feel like I can talk about them more. I feel like I know what's there and what's coming, and I don't feel so much like I'm being thrown a curveball when emotions happen. I feel like I'm more in tune with what they are and what they mean, and I feel more like I can discuss them. And honor them and take the time for them, which has been really nice. So there's that. That's the results side of it. I feel really good about it. I feel really good about where I'm at now. Initially, I had thought moving forward that I would want to jump right into another program, but I actually honestly feel like I've been reading the new book, which I actually have here. It's called Food Freedom Forever. It's the next Melissa Hartwig book. And the whole point is to understand how food works for your system, and then day to day make choices based on that. And right now that's what I feel like doing, so that's what I'm going to do. My activity level has shot up a bit because I have more energy, which is exciting, but I don't feel like I want to jump into a diet again. I don't feel like I want to do Whole30 again. I feel like I want to go day to day and meal to meal, however it feels like it would best suit me. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of exploring different parts of the city and going to new restaurants and checking out menu options that I wouldn't have because of the inspiration that I got from Whole30, finding new things that excited me and that I really liked. I know how I feel when I have certain ingredients, so when they come around, it's very much like the book. Like I kind of take stock in it and I'm like, okay, would it make me feel better to eat this versus that? And if it would, I do it. And if not, I don't. Or what will this do to my body? Like, will I feel this way or that way? And if it is going to be a negative reaction, but I think it's worth it, I eat it. I've had pizza and I had a cupcake and I put some sweetener in my coffee today. But I feel like when I do that, I actually take a moment and I'm just like, do I want to do this right now or not? And then if I do want to, I do. So anyway, I feel like that I'm only a week into being off the program. But at the beginning of this week, I felt anxious and nervous and not knowing what was coming. And now I feel very much like day to day feels good. Meal to meal feels good. I'm still connected online with the Whole30 Facebook groups that I had joined, and it does feel a little weird right now not to take pictures every time I make food. And it feels a little weird not to vlog every day. But moving forward, I will be vlogging maybe once or twice a week. Most of it will be health and wellness kind of stuff, or one thing that I was thinking about doing is like going out in the world on adventures into places that I've wanted to go to without having a reason to, and just like taking pictures and putting a vlog together about that. So like different parts of the city, or like walking trails out in the country, or taking a bike ride by the lake. Or if we go on vacation, making sure to document the vacation spots that we hit. Last weekend we spent, we got a hotel in the city and just like stayed downtown, which we never do, and walked a lot. And so I took a lot of pictures there. So I might be coming up with some videos that way as well. But yeah, moving forward, I think it's just going to be about health, wellness, mindfulness, connecting to the world, that kind of stuff. So, I don't really know what else to say. I think that's about it. If all of these videos work out and I have enough room on this Chromebook to post this will be a very long video. Otherwise, I'm going to cut it into 2 parts. But either way, thank you so much for following me on this journey. It meant a lot to have people to reach out to. It meant a lot to have comments come through, and to be able to talk to people out in the world about what I was doing. And it feels really good to have finished this journey. So I'm going to sign off here, and then right after this you're going to see some photos of my before and after shots. And that's it for me for Whole30. So let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you as time progresses. Bye, guys.